Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. Nearly Senior Citizen here. Greetings, boys and girls, and welcome to this, another brand new day. Yes, indeed. It isn't bright and sunny yet. The sun is still behind mountains because I live in a mountainous part of Shelton, so thumbs up. But it's very bright outside. You know, birds are singing, animals are clambering about, insects are fighting. Thumbs up for that. Yay. Anyway, though, as stated, it is a brand new day. Now, there is only just a few minor things I wanted to talk about. One is just, I wanted to talk about the story of my cats. Because I was born a long time ago, like 57 years ago, 1962. I remember having earlier some cats, you know, that my parents had, of course, bought. We had some dogs, and I remember some of those dogs. I don't remember a lot about the earlier cats. I remember we had some white cats. I remember one was named Puffy, and she kept lying on top of her kittens and killing them when she had some until they all died, because she was really, really stupid. So that was fun. Later on, we had a Siamese cat that we ended up calling French Fry because my mother wanted to call it Sunshine, but my sister, who was really, really young, I mean, I was like 6 and she was like 2, maybe? Something around in that time. And so his name was French Fry, and he was a great cat, but he got cancer and had some surgeries and then died of the disease, so that was unfortunate. Later on, excuse me, as I got older, we got a black cat called Inky, and then when I went into the Air Force and all that, and then came back, then it was, I got the cat back, and when I moved out of the house, the kitty moved with me, and it lived with me till, at least the early 90s, until unfortunately the kitty died of old age. And then I got another cat, another kitten, and it was a black and white cat, and I called him, oh, come on now, it was Smokey. And so he was a good kitty, and actually, even when I was married and couldn't have a cat for a time, my parents took care of him, and then we were able to get him back. Unfortunately, when I and my wife lived in Olympia, in an apartment there, he lived with us in the apartment. And he would occasionally get out, but he would always not go far, and then he would come back in. On the day, like just before we were moving, to move into Shelton, he got out again. Only this time, he vanished, and I never saw him again. So there was unresolved grief and emotions on that, and it's unfortunate. While we were married, before this happened with Smokey, while my wife was first having issues, when her heart was failing, when she was having all of these surgeries and then having heart valve replacement surgery, we had a different cat that had kittens. And I couldn't take care of that cat and the kittens, and it was getting to be a mess where we lived, and so my in-laws took the cat and the kittens. Amelia, who runs around, was one of those kittens, and so she's getting up on, like, good golly, Miss Molly, like 15, 17 years old now, so she's getting to be an old kitty. But before that happened, before she first started breaking down, we got 2 orange cats. They were called Ben and Jerry. And when Jen, my wife, ended up in the hospital and then ended up in a nursing home as she was recovering from her heart valve surgery, that broke the cats. It broke them. They broke. And it did not end well for them, unfortunately. One of them ended up just as I was having to basically live in another city with my wife because I had to drive to Seattle as often as I could to be with her. The one cat ended up living outside of the house underneath a shed for a time, and then I don't know what happened to it. The other one kept climbing up on top of the roof and then getting stuck. Eventually, I tried to take it to the Humane Society shelter, but before I could get it there, it actually leaped out of my car and dashed into the woods, and then it was gone. So it ended poorly for both of these cats. I mean, they broke when she had to go to the hospital, and that was bad. Now, when I was married to my wife, we didn't have any cats. In fact, we had 2 dogs. She'd been a cat person her whole life until she got a dog. And that was while she was in the nursing home. She wanted a support dog. And so we got a Papillon, a purebred Papillon. But he was, even though he was purebred, he was like twice as big as most normal Papillons. And so he wasn't a toy dog, but he wasn't a weird malformed dog. He was just larger than he should have been to have been a show dog. And so he was a good dog. And then for the next 10 years, we had that dog and another dog that we had gotten for her oldest, well, no, our oldest, her child from a previous marriage, whom again, the complicated story point being he's my son, damn it. But we got him a Papillon and he hated it, and I don't blame him because that dog had brain damage and it was unfortunate. And well, on the day that she went into her final I'm not going to wake up anymore point, when she came home on hospice toward the end of her life, on the day that she no longer would react to external stimuli, I called the the animal rescue, and turned over our 2 dogs. So, and then after that, I ended up living in my in-laws' garage. He was nice enough to say, hey, you want to live in my garage? Because at that point, their garage had been set up so that it had living quarters in it. So it wasn't bad. It had some running water and stuff like that. It just didn't have a bathroom, didn't have a shower. You had to go back up into the main house to use that stuff. So it was a tiny room, and I had no room for a bed. And if you watch my older videos, that's where I first started doing stuff. Well, I started doing stuff in the house that I and my wife lived in. And then I lost the house because I couldn't pay for it. And then I ended up living in my in-laws' garage until they lost their house. At which point I and friends, who are now my housemates, started renting this place here. But before that, and before I realized that Amelia was in fact originally my kitten, she had just plain readopted me and was spending all of her time downstairs with me when she could. I mean, she didn't spend all of her time with me, but she would spend a bulk of her time. If they were trying to find her up in the house and they couldn't find her, they knew to come downstairs because she was with me. And then when I finally had to move, we moved here, and then it was only a couple days before Amelia showed up. So she hunted me down, and it's a good thing. So that is the story of my cats. There's more. There's other cats, there's other tales, but that's the rough, broad stroke story. And I'm still a cat person. Will probably be a cat person until the day I die. We do not wire ourselves. You know, we discover our wiring as we go through life, and it wasn't my choice to be a cat person, just like it wasn't my choice to have my heart melt when I look at hamsters. It's just, there's something about hamsters that's just like, oh, they're just so precious. Excuse me. Other rodents, I like and I enjoy, and they're cute, but they don't make my heart melt like hamsters do. We don't know why we're wired the way we are. We just are, and we discover it as we go through life. Now, you can do some changes. I've made some radical personality changes throughout my life when I've wanted to make changes. So you can rewrite your personality. That's the amazing things about our brains. They are plastic. Nothing is set in stone. You can change everything. There's a lot of work, The further back in life you have to go to change something, the more work it takes to change it. Like with me, a lot of the underpinnings of my personality are based on how I had to live as a kid who was suffering from sexual abuse. And so a lot of the big foundations of my personality and my life are based around that. Now, that hasn't been true for decades because my mother divorced this man at some point, and then the abuse stopped. So it's been a very long time since anything like that has happened, but it's still, those are the underpinnings of the foundation. And so those things are right there. And that takes a lot of work to dig out and reset with something else. The little things, they don't take as much work to change. It happens. And then real quick, I'm fascinated by this one just mainly because of what's going on. The whole story of Typhoid Mary. I never really, or at least it never stuck in my head. I never really knew the ending of the story of Typhoid Mary because, it's remember back in the beginning of like 1900, 1907, 1908, right around in that time, there was this one woman who was an asymptomatic carrier of typhoid and would not believe it when they found it, traced it down, because she made over 51 people sick and killed over 3 just by spreading this, and would not believe that it was her. And when was told you need to wash your hands, just said no. And so cooked and made food for people and made them sick and killed some. When they said, you need to do this, she said, no. You're carrying this, it's bad. Oh my God, my webcam is just locking up so bad. I can only hope the sound is not going to be terrible. But it just keeps going, and then freezing for like a full second and then starting up again. So, OY VEY. But all this stuff, she just said no. She refused to believe that it was her. She refused to believe that she was causing any issue. She refused to do anything to help other people because she just didn't believe it. And so she made, personally, herself, at least 51 people sick because when they said you can't go cooking food for people, she said, yes, I can. And did. So she spent almost the last 30 years of her life in prison, quarantine, because she would not take precautions to not kill other people. That's rough, but if you're going to kill other people with your actions, you can't just be allowed to run free. So on the one hand, it sucks. On the other hand, of course, with all the people that she made sick and the people that she killed, yeah, she deserved to be in prison. But OY VEY. And so that just ties in right now, especially since, we know that you can spread the covfefe bug if you're asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic. We are so lucky with this bug. I mean, it's terrible. Do not get me wrong. Any humans dying from this thing is a terrible thing. I'm saying we're lucky because it's only as fatal as it is. This thing could have been as fatal as Ebola and still been as easy to spread as it is right now. It doesn't take much for these things to make a minor Oh my Lord God, that's terrible. I can only hope that it's not tearing up the sound. That is awful what it's doing on the lockup. I tell the Windows 10 to do anti-malware checks at 11 o'clock at night. And it says, okay, you mean just do it whenever I feel like you're doing something hard drive intensive and then I lock everything up. Got it. Thanks, Windows 10. Life is life. So, it's joyous, and right now we have an entire nation of Typhoid Marys running around because there's a lot of governors that refuse to do the smart stuff, and our prez wants to open up the country like by the end of April, which means we're never going to get this under control. Because the places that won't shut down are going to keep it active. And then if the country opens up, there's going to be a huge secondary wave again. That is going to make this wave where we're up to what? 25,000 dead already? It's going to make this look like just a tea party. And now that I'm going to be using the camera that keeps locking up, joy, I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments on the bloody, stupid, hard to use, I hate new YouTube Studio. On my main channel, they took away the Studio Classic, so I've only got this hard to use, hard to read, really horrible software package that they call the new YouTube Studio that nobody online likes because it doesn't work right. But I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab, and I'm going to go through and thank 20 to 25 people for having left me a comment. It's arranged because even though I count in American Sign Language on the fingers of this hand with my depression, fibro, brain damage, and more, I'm lucky if I can remember anything at all. If I mispronounce the username, no disrespect is intended. And oh boy, more lockups. And let's see, it was the remembering. If I mispronounce, I can't remember even the last thing. I'm so irate at the way my webcam keeps locking up. Anyway, though, so let's call that Chrome. We have Ricky Constancio, thank you very much, and Kiara Garza, thank you. Clockwork Cat, greatly appreciated. We have Princess K, thumbs up and thank you. Nakona Crawford, thumbs up. Ali Shabiri, good to see you in the comments. Bradley Denby, thumbs up and thank you. We have Rosalia Sandoval, greatly appreciated. Abraham Lincoln, thumbs up and thank you. Euron Mad, greatly appreciated. Chicken Nugget, thank you very, very much. And then we have Eli Jobro, thank you very much. Tomer the Bomber, heck of a name. Mexico, greatly appreciated. Logan Giancarlo, however it is, thank you very, very much. We have Kathy Kitscat, greatly appreciated. Marcus Holland, thumbs up and thank you. Dylan Mucciarello, I sure hope I'm close. And then Kyle Bernadine, thumbs up and thank you. Ghost Girl, greatly appreciated. Tobias Messner, thumbs up. Russian Timing, good to see you in the comments. We have Mass Hysteria, thumbs up and thank you. And then there is Marlies, greatly appreciated. And last but not least, we have Elder Wolf 569. Good to see you all in the comments. Thank you all so very, very much. You get me, checking my centering there. You get me out of my head, into the world, dealing with real people. It is greatly appreciated. Thumbs up and thank you so very, very much. Each and every one of you. Definitely a good thing. If you could check out my various links down below, I have Twitter, Facebook, GoFundMe, Patreon.com. If you could donate to my GoFundMe campaign or become a Patreon.com patron like one of these beautiful and awesome people, that would be beautiful and awesome. If you wanted to help me out but didn't want to send money to one of those two places, I have a PayPal link down below. If you could check that out, that would be very cool. And if you wanted to help me out but not send money, I have an Amazon wish list link as well. That would be very cool with stuff like hamster food, cat food, hamster bedding, silly things, not silly things. If you could check it out, that would be very, very awesome. Definitely a thumbs up. Now, do not feel obligated. I do not feel entitled. And if you cannot donate or you simply do not donate, I take all good wishes and I deposit them in the bank of my heart, where I draw interest, so thank you very much. If you could toss me a like, I do appreciate all the positive validation I get for my existence. Definitely a thumbs up. And of course, if you could subscribe to the channel and hit that bell, that would be very cool, greatly appreciated. I would understand if you did not wish to, but if you are down with it, I will do my very best to keep you entertained from now until the literal end of time. Very cool. So dismissive. Make it so mysterious, impressive sounding, and then just, very cool. So I have this video, I have another video to edit and render, probably one to record and then edit and render for the game channel at the very least, so definitely a thumbs up. So, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, my friend, and that is a very good thing. Practice safe self-care, but practice safe care. This is survival mode. This is not come out of it being thin mode or come out of it having done something intensely creative mode. We're in survival mode. If you come out of this alive on the other side, that's a win right there.